and welcome to another episode of the Tar Heels Insider Podcast right here on SI. I'm your host, Grant Sastry, the lead beat writer right here on the North Carolina Tar Heels on SI. Make sure to follow all of our content on the website, as we're going to be producing a lot of content next coming days. Of course, we got fall camp starting on Saturday, which I'm really excited for. Bill Belichick will speak with the media beforehand, and then the media will get a chance to view the practice for a good, for about an hour and a half. And of course, we have player media availabilities. I believe it was Max Johnson, Kamari House, and there was a couple others. But you'd be very excited to hear from them as well as we get started up with fall camp. But with fall camp happening this weekend, we're going to talk about three things that I am looking forward to at fall camp. Number one, the quarterback battle. And right now, even though it doesn't look like there is a quarterback battle per se, because I think a lot of people are presuming that Gio Lopez will be the starting quarterback, just based off the fact that North Carolina got him through the transfer portal after the spring was over. They could have got him any point in time, but they got him after the spring was over. So they must have saw something in the spring. We're like, yeah, we need another playmaker, a quarterback. So they brought in Gio Lopez, who's a dual threat guy, very efficient, can throw the long ball. Actually, a very effective guy, quarterback at throwing the long ball. He actually had a 91.0 Pro Football Focus grade when it came to throws 20 yards or over. Not a 20-yard reception where a receiver catches it 5 yards up the field, then runs for another 15. No. I'm talking about throwing the ball for 20 yards or more. So, that was really actually, if you look at all of his grades through, short, intermediate, and deep grades, his deep grade was actually the highest, which you really don't see that much because the deep ball is a less, it's a more of a not more dangerous throw, but it's a harder throw to make. So your completion percentages and everything will go down. And Gio Lopez was very, very effective at throwing the deep ball. But Max Johnson is still on the roster. Max Johnson is a very experienced quarterback. He is still on the roster. Remember, he was the starter last year for the Tar Heels before he had a lower leg injury that caused him to miss the rest of the season. And he really just had an unlucky career. And I know this because he was actually the starting quarterback at LSU when I was there as a student. And at first he was the starting quarterback in 2020. It was Miles Brennan. But then he had a season-ending injury. Then they put in TJ Finley, and that didn't work out. And then he comes out late, and just has a hell of a, had a hell of a time being the quarterback at LSU. He defeated Florida when Florida was a playoff team when they had Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts, and LSU went to Gainesville and they beat them, and a lot of people didn't expect them to beat them. And then next week he throws for a gazillion yards against Ole Miss, and he breaks all kinds of single game records. But the next year he had a decent year for a first year full time starter. He had 27 touchdowns. I believe he also only had like 5 picks too. He actually had a very good year as a first time starting quarterback in a whole season. But then Coach O gets fired. He would have had to deal with his third offensive coordinator in a row because the new coach is coming in, which was ultimately Brian Kelly. So he decides to transfer to A&M, and Jake Johnson, Jake Johnson is Max Johnson's little brother. He was originally committed to LSU, decommits from LSU, goes to A&M, so both of them play together, which is pretty cool. But he goes to A&M. He wasn't the starting quarterback at first, but he gets thrown in there. He does a decent enough job for A&M to win games, but then he gets hurt again, so he misses the whole season. Then he comes back the next year, not the starter again. He eventually gets it because of some of the quarterback struggles A&M was having in 2023. And, of course, I think Connor Weigman was out for the year. I think he was hurt and out for the year. And then they put in Max Johnson. But then Max lost the job because he wasn't playing as well. And then he transferred to UNC. Looks like he's going to have a big year. And then, of course, he had that season-ending injury. And I really think that's when the season turned for UNC. I mean, they still could have probably finished, 7-5 or whatever. But, it's hard to lose your quarterback who you've been practicing with all of spring and all of fall, only for him to get hurt in the first game and miss the rest of the season. So that's got to be tough. But I think Gio Lopez will be the starting quarterback. I think he will win the quarterback battle, just based off the fact that Bill Belichick had him at AC kickoff. And that's not an indication that he's going to start quarterback. I don't know what is. But the great thing is about the quarterback battle so far is that Max Johnson and Gio Lopez have built a pretty good relationship. They actually both went to the Manning Pass Academy together. So, regardless of who wins, either one of the quarterbacks is going to cheer the other on as they go lead the Tar Heels to victory. The second thing I'm going to watch it for is which skill players are going to step up. Marion Hampton's gone. Byron Nesbitt's gone. John Copenhagen's gone. J.J. Jones is gone. The only receiver they have production, in terms of long-term production, has been Kobe Paysour. Everybody else doesn't have the same production that Kobe Paysour has. And that's saying a lot because Kobe Paysour didn't even have a touchdown catch last year. He had over 300 yards of receiving, but he didn't have a touchdown catch last year. So you need to find a highly productive person in the passing attack. Then look at running back. Davion Goss is back after he was the number 2 running back for North Carolina last year. But it's a hard shoe to fill. Well, hard shoe to fit, right? When you are replacing probably one of the more talented running backs that North Carolina has ever seen. And I mean, Marion Hampton's drafted in the first round, y'all. You know how rare it is for a running back to get drafted in the first round, especially the way the league's changing. I mean, it's really, really tough. But can Davion Goss be the next man up? Can he step up and be the running back that Bill Belichick and the rest of the coaching staff want him to be, especially his teammates? And then also, who will step up at the receiver spot? There's really not a whole lot of production there, so you hope that somebody steps up throughout fall camp and separates themselves in the back. That could be Jordan Shipp, but it also could be Isaiah Johnson. The next thing I want to talk about is the offensive line. And I think 4 of the 5 spots I closed up. I think Will Esteen's going to start at one of the tackle spots. A.D. Banfield and Daniel King will both be your guards. And, of course, your starting center would be Austin Blask. But Travion Green. And I think he'll be the starter initially. And I don't even know if he'll be the starter this year. And that's because Travion Green, Travion Green is experienced. He started every single snap last year, which is 819 snaps. He's got great size, 6'8", 340, and he's a good run blocker. He has 70.8 run block grade according to Pro Football Focus. But his pass blocking is abysmal. I'm not saying that to be insulting. I'm saying that because that's what the facts show you. He had a 49.3 Pro Football Focus pass block grade. His average pass block grade of 37.9. He had an average pass block grade of 37.9 for the first 6 games of the ACC conference late last season. And then his worst game came against Duke, where he had a 15, once again, 15.1 pass block grade. And then he also had a season high with 9 pressures and 7 hurries. And he also allowed a sack. At the starting spot, you can see William Boone maybe going in either to rotate or even take Travion Green's spot. Or I could also see a scenario with Ja'Kai Moore from South Carolina, a 7th-year senior, could step in and be the starting running back. It just depends on how the coaching staff is feeling about this team at this time and also moving forward. But anyway, that's going to wrap up today's show. Make sure to follow us Tar Heels on SI on both Twitter and Facebook. You can also follow me on Twitter at Sashery Grant, but last name, first name for my Twitter handle. Make sure you guys do that. We're going to be releasing a lot of content, and I'm really excited for fall camp, and I hope you guys are too. But anyway, that's going to wrap up today's show. Once again, I'm your host, Grant Sashery, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.